Good afternoon, and welcome to this week's version of Vision and Voice. This is our episode number 7, as today is May 15th, and we're getting back to business in Jefferson Parish. I'm pleased to be here today with our parish president, Cynthia Sheng. Thank you for doing these episodes with us to get this information out to the public. And our councilman from District 4, representing Metairie and North Kenner, Dominick Impastato. Appreciate you being here as well. We'll start with you, Cynthia. Talk a little bit about the numbers, the need, any important announcements that we have this week that we need to get out.
A lot of important announcements this week. Certainly we'll start with the cases. We have 6,860 cases and unfortunately 423 deaths in Jefferson Parish. And of course the big news this week is that we're going to be able to enter phase 1. So I just want to say that's only because everyone's hard work, all of our businesses, all of our families, all of our employees, everyone just working really hard and abiding by the orders that we are able to get to phase 1 this week. And I know you're probably going to talk more about that with the business plan, but I wanted to talk a little bit about testing. We always knew that testing was very critical as this virus was growing in our community, extremely critical now that we start getting into phase 1, that we know exactly if there's a resurgence of the virus a little bit, where that is. Currently in Jefferson Parish, we have 34,000 tests that we've conducted in Jefferson Parish. A big part of that is we've had the Alario Center up and running almost every day since March. And then, you know, we have pushed out and want to thank LCMC and Ochsner for working with community testing with us. So we've gone into Marrero, we went into Gretna, we went into Kenner, and the good news is we're working with Ochsner. Hopefully next week we're going to make some announcements to go into Grand Isle because they have not had significant testing in Grand Isle, and in Metairie as well. So that's very important for us, is to just really understand the growth or new virus counts, where they are in the parish, for us to manage that. So, you know, again, aggressive testing in Jefferson Parish. With testing and more testing, what you do is you identify your positive counts. So, and that is critical to fighting the virus. But currently, we've tested 7.8% of the population, which is a really high number. The goal nationally is 4%. So we're at 7.8%. But the key when you speak to this issue and you kind of try to get a little deeper into it, the percent of positive tests as compared to the total are going down, and that's why we're able to get to phase 1. So if you look at a month ago, we were at a 33% positive test rate. Now we're at a 4 to 5% positive test rate. So that is very, very critical. But just a little bit of updates for us on the Jefferson Parish side and with our buildings. You know, Monday, some of the tenants we have in some of our buildings, we're just expecting more traffic. We're going to require temperature checks. I mean, we're an employer just as well, so we're going to require temperature checks in our building, and everyone in our building to wear masks in the hallways, in the lobby, in the elevators until they get to their suite. Our transit department, all of our buses are going to be required, the riders are going to be required to wear masks as well, because that's inside and it's close density. And then our libraries are going to remain closed, but we are opening up some of our recreational facilities, a little bit more of our recreational facilities. So, you know, our tennis courts and our batting cages, our dog parks, our fishing piers, disc golf and boardwalks, we're deeming those safe to open at this time. And then recycling is going to start on Monday back again. We kind of took, we suspended that service during this pandemic, and we look forward to start that again, so people can start putting out their recyclables again on Monday.
Great.
Yes.
So, you know, I know as we're starting to get back to work, I think during this opportunity, we all had a huge opportunity to take 10 minutes and complete the census form. And I know a lot of people haven't done that. So could you touch on the importance of that?
It is interesting that it comes at this time when everything now, and we're lucky to get help from the federal government at the state level, but a lot of it is based on population. And a lot of the money that we're going to get, recovery funds, are based on population, and that's how those numbers are determined by the census. So it is just so critical that everyone participate in the census. I did mine. You know, we did ours the other night. It was very easy. It probably took us less than 10 minutes online, mail, or even on the phone. So please complete your census. We need to be counted. Everybody needs to be counted. And we were planning a huge campaign on that, and we will resume that as we get out of this. You know, it's been all things coronavirus, but we're going to start pushing out even more public. You're going to see more in public about completing the census while we still have time.
I think our parish is at 59% registration.
59% right now.
So you know, if I'm doing my math right, we've got 41% that are not counted, that we need to get counted, and so that's really important, and that's at census.gov. You can do it online, by phone, or by mail. It's very simple, but we need everybody counted.
Yes.
So just wanted to make sure we mentioned that. Maybe when we go to Grand Isle, we could push testing in.
Absolutely. Yes. That's
Right.
a good idea.
All right. So the other things, you know, the resources that are available to everyone are the Back to Business Plan, and you can find that at our website at jeffersonchamber.org. The architect really was Jetco, under the direction of Jerry Bologna, that really did a masterful job in putting that together and working with the administration, the council, the parish attorney to make sure we had a very simplistic plan that people could follow. And what I tell people all the time, because we're all getting emails and texts and calls, and go read the plan. I mean, it's broken down in phases and by industry, and when in doubt, exercise common sense and social distancing. And I think if everybody can remember that, common sense and social distancing, I think we're going to be okay, and we can ease back into this. And as the doctor said the other day, you know, the pool's open doesn't mean we have to do a cannonball into it. You know, let's gently walk into it, and you know, and not recreate more problems. So, but that again is the Back to Business Plan. It's at jeffersonchamber.org. And also, we're still getting a lot of questions about the payroll protection plan, the workers. The SBA loan plans that are out there for working capital, and all that information is on our website as well. We've also got some interesting information. A lot of people are asking, how do I make sure, darn sure, that this $90,000 loan I just got is absolutely forgivable? And so those are important steps to go through. We've got a lot of resources for that. And then finally, we're working in the legislature on some liability issues specifically pertaining to COVID. So if we've had companies that through this mess have come out and said, I'm going to put a hold on producing my vodka, and I'm going to make hand sanitizer, that later they're not sued for liability reasons because somebody got chapped hands or something from, that's probably an extreme example, but and also that there aren't just frivolous suits blaming people for contracting the COVID. So all of those things are in place. We haven't forgotten about the legislature. We're certainly working there as well, but just so much going on right now. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's a very short session. It'll wrap up on June 1st, and hopefully we have a budget worked out by then. So let's go to Dominick, talk about District 4, and talk about, you know, maybe just in general what you're hearing, what you're thinking about getting back to business.
Yeah, you know, District 4 has probably the biggest hit is to the city of Kenner, which represents 62% of the district that I represent. The treasure chest has been shut down, and the treasure chest since 1992, virtually every capital improvement in the city of Kenner has been funded by the treasure chest. Every drain that's been repaired, every pipe that's been put in the ground, every street that's been repaved, basically has been paid for by revenue from it. So the hit that the city of Kenner unfortunately will take, due to no fault of the city's, is going to be substantial. Obviously, the reopening of restaurants and other businesses now is a positive step. It's a little frustrating that there was some miscommunication that was handed down from Baton Rouge as to what businesses could be open, but at least now we're getting to the point where businesses have an opportunity to make their own decision. And look, there's one of the big restaurant groups, I won't name them, but I spoke with, they have a bunch of restaurants in District 4. They're still not opening because in their minds, economically, it just doesn't make economic sense with the 25% restrictions and whatnot. Well, at least at that point, they have some decision to make. So it's a step in the right.
They can stay curbside.
Yeah, or not. It's still their decision.
Right.
You know, part of the challenge that I've seen that has been, you know, just a challenge that I wasn't expecting was the extent to which some of our constituents have sort of kind of turned on each other, and that's been a little bit disappointing to see. You know, where look, businesses, they're trying to make a go of it. You know, they're just trying to keep their head above water in some way, and yet you got other people who are so angry and so upset at the overall circumstances that you know, it's causing some relationship challenges that I hope we get past at some point and can get back to a much more collegial type environment from a more community societal perspective. But in District 4, what's good, one of the things we're taking advantage of is we're pushing some construction projects now to get them done now, frankly, while traffic is less. So we're trying to, and one of the things we're trying to do at the parish is take advantage of some of the opportunities in front of us. We've talked a lot about people who spend more time with your kids, go bike riding, go do things you otherwise wouldn't do. Well, in District 4 for the what we're doing is we're taking that to the streets as well. We just approved the construction of the David Drive widening, which is going to be a huge traffic relief and economic development project between Veterans and West Napoleon. That's been in design for years now. We finally pushed with the streets director and the public works director, said let's get it started now because it's going to involve a closure of lanes in each direction. Well, what better time to close lanes than now when there's less traffic on the streets? So,
and if any street needs to be widened, it's David Drive.
Well, it does. What you're going to have now is instead of the 2 lanes in each direction, we're going to have basically a 5th lane in the middle that's going to be mostly median with dedicated turning lanes with lights, but there'll also be a section that has basically a double turning lane. But the big thing, what it's going to do is take the left turning motorists out of the left lane of travel, put them in the median, get them out, so you'll now have free flow in each direction, which you may, because look, you have Clearview that gets you from the river to the lake, and then you have David Drive that gets you from the river to the lake. So that corridor, that's a choke point. We've got really, the benefit to the businesses along that corridor is going to be substantial. The second part of that Parish President Lee Sheng and her administration committed to us that they'll help us take to the next level is also access behind those properties along the Soniac Canal, behind David Drive. What that's going to do is allow more parking and more beautification for the businesses that front David Drive, because they'll have alleyway access and service access behind on the canal side where there's nothing but grass there right now. So that's going to be a huge benefit. All of that is in progress now. Construction is expected to start within the next 2 weeks. It's going to be roughly $10 million. When you add the alleyway, it's about $12 million worth. So that's starting now. It's probably the biggest construction project we have going on. Yesterday, our council approved $2.3 million of Go Mesa funding, which will help provide hurricane protection at the lakefront on Williams Boulevard. That is important because what that's going to do is provide, for the first time in history, hurricane protection for the Williams Boulevard boat launch, including the treasure chest, and more importantly, including the potential development in Lake Town at the foot of Williams Boulevard, which we are told, even despite Corona, is still on track. And there's developers that want to do an over $500 million investment of an eat, work, play resort community on the water there. And that's this hurricane protection that the parish is going to help provide is going to give them the protection they need to then go break ground and drive the pilings to build what could be a development that will change the face of Jefferson Parish forever. And on that, I can say, as of 7 days ago, I believe, thanks to State Representative Debbie Villio's persistence and commitment, the state legislature just agreed to give a 99-year lease to not a specific company, but to allow Canada to engage in a 99-year lease, which will help that development happen.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this question, because we hear these big numbers, especially in this COVID crisis being thrown around. Put that $500 million in perspective. $500 million entertainment complex.
Sure.
What does that mean?
Sure.
Sounds huge.
We just opened, everyone got super excited at the opening of the New Orleans airport in November because it was the largest construction project in Louisiana history. That was $800 million. So this ain't first, but it's pretty damn close.
Right.
So to give you an idea, you know, that
that's a game changer for the whole
region. It's a game changer. Yeah. Well, and to give you an idea, $500 million, the city of Kenner's budget is roughly $60 million a year. So that's basically 10 years of all operations in the city of Kenner.
Right.
So,
and it's at the lake. I mean,
it's at the lake.
Build well at the lake.
We'll utilize the water again, right? Yeah, we haven't done that really ever in Jefferson Parish. So that's huge news. And so in the short term, we need to get the treasure chest back up and running.
Which I believe under the current order, they're allowed
They're
to start moving in that direction. So
as we kind of move through the summer months and we start looking at August, September, October, I know there's some. I know you have Lafayette Park in your district. LaSalle is neighboring, I guess, in Dino's, but Zephyr Field. What do you think about some events that we might be able to?
Well, you know, the first one on our radar is the Uncle Sam Jam that happens every year.
Sure.
It's typically July 3rd. Where does that fit on the timeline? Where does that fit in the phases right now? It remains to be seen. Obviously, if it's up to me, I'd love to see it still happen in some way. It's a little too early. Look, long term, as I've said repeatedly on our phone conferences and our meetings with the council and the parish president, I say long term is 3 days from now.
Right.
You know, maybe a week at best. So you have to plan for it, but yet be prepared to change on a dime. So hopefully we'll be able to do something, and if we did it, it would be a little different format. You know, our commitment would be all local acts, given, you know, that sort of thing. But listen, there's a proposal that we hope to put on our parish president's desk pretty soon to have maybe something along the lines of drive-in concerts, potentially at LaSalle, something like that. That's actually being done in other communities, but kind of maybe make history in Jefferson Parish by doing it. As far as Lafayette Park is concerned, we absolutely have an opportunity to capitalize on some of the, you know, what I think are a little bit hasty decisions by some of our peers in other communities, provided the health and safety of the community can be maintained. And, you know, I think if there's been I believe a compliment that's been paid to the Jefferson Parish elected officials, my colleague at the top of it, we at the parish have not made hasty, rash judgments or quick decisions without the benefit of data and support for it. So, I mean, unfortunately, I think, and as a result, you haven't seen the parish president have to back off of orders she's given, because each of them, at least, they had analysis behind them, so it made sense.
The balance of public health and economic health.
Right. And economic health and quality of life. Because that's the other part of this that I think is huge. And so to me, to get to what I think is your question, if we have an opportunity to help festivals and events find a home, whether it's in Lafayette Park, LaSalle Park, some combination of the two, and we can do it under our guidelines and make it make sense, from my perspective, I don't see why we wouldn't do it. I mean, that to me is an opportunity to show them we do business better in Jefferson Parish. We do business well from a government perspective and an economic development perspective. Why not take that opportunity? Again, with the caveat that it's at no risk and the proper precautions are taken.
Sure, it's got to be safe. And that helps caterers, restaurants, local acts, local bands.
Yeah, I mean,
in a lot of cases, nonprofits. And
that's another part of it too. I mean, you know, is at what point can we do something? Look, handouts don't. You know, it's the old adage. You know, give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach him how to fish, he eats for a lifetime. Well, you know, government money, giving out government money only goes so far and only helps to a certain degree. But if we can provide an opportunity for them to broadcast their own business, for them to serve their products and showcase their products, well, then maybe we're doing something to really get them back on their feet again.
Absolutely. And I know you mentioned a couple of those locations that are in or close to your district, but we have so many places across this parish. I mean, think about downtown Gretna, where they do the Gretna Heritage Fest and Parc des Familles, and Bucktown and Bonneville Boulevard Boat Launch. I mean, out near the treasure chest, just so many different areas that we could offer for the smaller festivals and events.
And all of those, you know, the medical community says outdoor is better than indoor. And so, you know, the vigilance we have to do in the next couple of weeks so we can get to phase 2 and phase 3 is very critical.
Absolutely.
You know, we want to be able to get there.
And that's a real good point you bring up. You know, as we wrap this up, I just want to remind everybody to stay safe, to use common sense and good judgment. We got a long ways to go, but this is a start, and I know business business folks out there, employees alike, are eager to get back to work. So let's do it smart and safe and bring our economy back. Thank you both for being here today and participating
Thanks for the invite.
in our Vision and Voice episode 7. Thank you.